Meet Smarty, the easiest to implement and most accurate address intelligence suite on the planet, offering you the #1 address verification service that securely processes billions of addresses daily. Easily integrate Smarty's reliable API to efficiently clean data, lower shipping costs, and ensure top-notch user experiences, all with legendary free support. See for yourself why people are simply bananas for Smarty.
Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name is Andrew Townsend. I'm marketing operations here at Smarty. Today's webinar is about unlocking e-commerce success. We're going to be talking about Fabletics' journey with address autocomplete, and we're very excited to dive in and get started. So our presenters today, we have Trent Howell, head of marketing here at Smarty, and I'll let him introduce our presenter from Fabletics. Without further ado, Trent.
Oh, fantastic. We are excited to have Mel Cummings on our webinar today. Fabletics has been great to work with, and Mel is the Vice President of Product Management and UX at Fabletics, and she has been there over 8 years, and she started on the retail side of the business and then moved to the e-commerce side about 6.5 years ago. But she is happy to have been part of driving a lot of success and growth that they've had, helping launch the retail store fleet into 3 new markets, as well as launching the men's, the scrubs, and the Yitty business units. And a hidden fact about Mel, she was a history major. And that actually isn't so bad, Mel, because I was an economics major in college. And I was always asked, what are you going to do with an economics degree? So you might have got the same thing with history, but we're excited to have you on and tell us more about what you've seen with addresses.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trent. Really appreciate it. Great to be here today to chat with you all a little bit more about kind of our journey. And yes, I was definitely asked that question. What are you going to do with that degree? So I've made it work, but definitely always a concern. So before we dive in too much to kind of the address autocomplete and verification portion, I want to just give everybody a little bit of an overview of Fabletics as a brand, if you're not familiar with us. We are an activewear brand founded in 2013. Unlike a lot of other, large brands, we're actually a digitally native brand. So we started exclusively selling e-commerce on our website through our very unique VIP membership program. It's a very, different program that compared to others that you might have seen in the market around subscriptions and membership, but our customers really love it. We have over 2.3 million members worldwide. We currently operate.
That is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great. And getting great feedback from customers, it really plays into our strategy here today. Being a membership program kind of demands a little bit of a different approach to the experience, both online and in store. So we really take that to heart.
Yeah, that's great.
We do operate in 9 countries globally, and we have about 95 retail stores now, which is very, very near and dear to my heart. It's been fun to watch that really explosive growth as well. So before we get into deep today, wanted to kind of just ask, how many people have been working, on their phone, on their computer, going through a checkout flow, and they've been frustrated because they ran into a bug or an issue and they've just simply left. This is like a somewhat rhetorical question because I feel like everybody's going to raise their hand. Because if you haven't done this, you're probably superhuman, right? Like everybody's had that moment of frustration. And usually what happens is when you leave, you don't come back. That's a lost opportunity and a lost customer, which is really, a bummer opportunity for an e-commerce brand.
I felt like I had an experience like that even just last week, but unfortunately, I think it was with the DMV, so I had to return to the checkout.
They forced you back. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bar is a bit lower there with the government.
Yeah.
Super fair. So really it was this, critical question that kind of drove us to think about, how we can make our checkout experience easy for customers to use, and as, simple as possible. So diving in, one thing that's very interesting about our brand is about 80% of our customers shop with us on a mobile device. When you're on your mobile phone, there's obviously less space to communicate with the customer. And it's really important to ensure that there's a frictionless, simple experience the customer can go through. In addition, we find that our membership model really demands simplicity and ease. When we're trying to communicate our membership model and excite people about the products that we sell, and also excite them about the membership program, by the time that they get to checkout, you need that to be very simple and straightforward so that they can kind of get through that process, opt into the program, and be excited about being members and getting their new apparel with us. Another thing that we found that was really interesting is within our checkout flow, we had never had any type of address autocomplete solution. And we did have an address verification solution, but it wasn't the most reliable. The data wasn't always accurate. It was really challenging for customers who were moving into like a new build home. That was something I had personally experienced where we built our house and the address didn't pop up, and that created all kinds of issues. So we felt like, A, to keep pace with kind of customer demand from a feature set in the market, address autocomplete was really important. And we also felt like there was opportunities for us to kind of improve the verification portion of that as well.
Yeah, and I think especially with your high percentage of mobile devices, autocomplete, because if I'm going to fat finger something, it's more likely done on a mobile device than on my desktop. So for sure, those go hand in hand.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like the ability to quickly move a mobile customer through the checkout just adds dollars to the pocket, right? Hard to beat that. So really, we kind of got to this place as a product team where we had the hypothesis that if we could simplify our online checkout and really provide an expedited, hassle-free flow, we could improve conversion rates and thereby increase our members' satisfaction, which that's really important to us. We really want to make sure our members are excited about their shopping experience with us. So we kind of started this journey of improving address accuracy. And we basically had three really big goals. The first I kind of alluded to, which is increase order conversion and reduce cart abandonment rates. Specifically, as we talked about on mobile, how do we help that customer who's on a mobile device get through their checkout even quicker? In addition, we did see some challenges with shipping delivery success. So there were situations where a customer had entered their incorrect address, the verification didn't catch it, they wouldn't get their package, they'd have to call into our customer service center, go through the kind of details on making sure we got the updated address, and then we would reship that package for them, of course. But we also had challenges of depending on the customer didn't realize how quickly the package didn't arrive, maybe that product is sold out. And think about that. That's just such a not great experience, especially for a new customer to a brand. So we felt that was something we really wanted to dive into.
That is a good point because it's hard to factor in. You can look at your physical costs with your shipping and return and what goes on in that, but the cost of delay in today's day and age is hard to put a number on sometimes, and what that means for customer repeat business.
For sure. And if we're setting up the construct with the customer that, you're joining a membership program, we know all about you, we're going to give you great experience, we're going to tailor your recommendations. If you don't get that first package, how much is that a bummer on that first interaction?
Yeah.
So that was definitely another goal that we wanted to really dive into. And then the third, as we've talked about here quite a bit, is just improving customer satisfaction. We really wanted to ensure that our customers were excited to be with us and we, delivered on our promises. So with that, we kind of went through a high level approach of how we wanted to solve this problem. So I'll kind of take you through that, and then we'll dive into some of the specifics. First, we kind of made the decision that we really wanted an address autocomplete solution to streamline our checkout form fields. We thought that was going to be very, very critical to our success go forward. With that in mind, we decided to complete a really robust market analysis. We did an RFP to ensure that we found the right partner who could kind of meet our needs, our unique technical specifications, and also had all the features that we thought were going to be important in this new partnership. We evaluated quite a few providers, and we felt that Smarty was the right partner for us, really given their user-friendly approach, really robust support, and just it really kind of checked all of our boxes, which we'll take everybody through here shortly. And then kind of our final step was we decided we really wanted to implement the solution on our web checkout flow. That was where we had kind of the bulk of the opportunity, both from a conversion perspective and an incorrect address perspective. So we wanted to really tighten up that opportunity as quickly as we could. So let's talk a little bit more about the approach to the RFP. Would love to hear from anybody who's dialed in and know, what factors would you think are most critical for evaluating address validation vendor? What elements would you want to look at? What details do you think are really important to diving in? Or would you be curious about?
Yeah, and many that are going to be on the call or joining us today are obviously in this very situation where they've been thinking about it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be looking at Smarty and talking to us.
So true. So true.
Okay, while people are typing, I can mention what I've heard from our previous customers. Obviously, accuracy, especially if it's if it's a real address or if it's not, or if it's a believable address, like some of our competitors will say, versus it is for sure a real address. One person here says speed. Speed is one, especially if you're using an API. You don't want your customer on their mobile device trying to type in their address and they get a big loading sign while it's trying to guess what their address is going to be.
Great call out.
Yeah, one that I was at a conference this week, and things that I heard, we had a lot of interaction with people from different countries. And so the international aspect was things that they were looking for. It's like, we're shipping all over the world. We want to make sure that we can cover the world.
For sure.
Another person has chatted in saying that the accuracy is also important for better card processing.
Oh, absolutely. Great point. Great point. We covered a lot of those as well. I was actually able to find our internal notes from kind of the original RFP. So this isn't a fully exhaustive list, but this was kind of what we decided to dive into when we completed ours. We looked at, the address verification and the quality of that verification, looked at the address autocomplete, the quality of that autocomplete, looked at a kind of a bunch of different details supporting address details like the PO boxes, the secondary unit designators. That in particular is really important for us. We have a pretty wide variety of customers, and a good portion of them do live in like apartment buildings. So the ability to be able to have the right apartment unit accuracy was really helpful and something we thought would be important.
And how that also, if I can add to that, how that adds to the autocomplete as well, because the autocomplete will get you to an address, but then you also need to select a unit within there. So all of those add together.
Exactly. Yeah, it really feeds each other. It's definitely important for Europe as well. As I mentioned, we have 9 countries globally. 2 of those are United States and Canada, but then the other 7 are in Europe. So wanted to make sure that was available. And then we also touched on kind of some of the intangibles, excited about the customer set, who else was using the tool, the service that we, were able to get, the integration process, and kind of the maintenance that we could expect go forward. So definitely a robust analysis. I'm sure there's more. I think the speed piece, I know that's kind of something we looked at as we integrated, but definitely something meaningful to look at kind of during that journey. So from there, we did our analysis. We had a couple of vendors that we were looking at this, and Smarty definitely came out as the right fit for us. And there was kind of 4 big nuggets that really landed us on making our decision. The first is, we really appreciated the opportunity to do a free trial to actually quantify the impact of our new tool and the integration and actually see how the customer experience would come to life. A lot of those interaction things are really hard to validate before you've actually just taken the time to do an implementation. And we would have, we were committed to doing that. And Smarty was a great partner in supporting us on that part of the journey. In addition, we really had a great positive experience with everyone we interacted with throughout the journey. And that's really important to us as a brand. Fabletics has a very robust technology team. I have a suite of product managers who work with me. We have a huge engineering and QA team, and we build a lot of our technology in-house. So it's really helpful for us to have partners who are comfortable working with us, willing to answer questions, since we don't have kind of a common out-of-the-box e-commerce platform.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's a great journey. We've talked about this one quite a bit, but it was a really strategic move for us to consolidate address verification and all of our services across regions. There of course could have been an opportunity for us to say, hey, maybe one partner works great for US and another partner looks great for Europe, but we've been on a journey now for a couple of years of really wanting to unify our technology stack and our customer experience as much as it makes sense across regions. So thereby, we really wanted to kind of streamline the process and ensure that we had, ideally one vendor that could support us in all of our markets. And the last thing that was really great was just the simplicity of pricing and that integration piece, which would allow us to expand to our other platforms. In particular, mobile app, I think that really helped us, seal the deal, land this as the exact right vendor, which we'll talk about here actually in a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, because you started out looking at your web interface, and then to be able to expand into the mobile app seems like a bonus, but it's like, yeah, it's the direction you were headed anyway.
Right. And it's silly to limit yourself to like a vendor who can only support you in one place, because all that extra maintenance, overhead, contract costs just likely isn't worth, juice isn't always worth the squeeze if you can't do it for universal platforms.
Yeah, very good.
So with that, we've mentioned that Fabletics kind of did that A/B test to start. I think this is probably a great time to just do a short little demo of what it looks like on Fabletics website. A little bit of commentary. This is the lead checkout flow for us. So this is a brand new customer the first time that they're coming to our site and converting with us. They first enter their shipping information. And you'll notice autocomplete was there, and then that's the address verification modal. So both very great experiences. And what I loved about this flow is that it just seamlessly integrated into our experiences. I feel like you can't tell that we're using a partner. It felt like the Fabletics experience, which is what you always want.
Yeah, feels just part of that brand.
Exactly. So after, as we did our integration, we decided to set up our A/B test. And I think it's important to chat a little bit about kind of how we set up that test. As I mentioned before, none of our regions had address autocomplete. So that was a net new feature in every market. The US website did have address verification with a different vendor. So we did want to appropriately set our expectations that we probably weren't going to get quite as big of a jump from those regions because there was a comparable tool already in place. We did set up the test in our major markets, so 6 markets total. And one thing that I thought was really important to how we structured this test is we did set up specific use case flags to ensure that we were actually capturing if the customer was interacting with the address data. So for any new customer, which we call lead, they're obviously entering their shipping and billing info for the first time. But for our repeat customer, because we save that info for them, there's often situations where they're able to quickly go through checkout without entering a new shipping or entering a new billing. So we specifically, put a flag on the edit info to ensure we captured that, as well as the address verification modal.
I love that level of detail you can get on your split tests, and really data drives it. Maybe that's the background of that economics major in me coming back to that data point of saying, okay, what can we really pinpoint and what can really be the cause and effect? So zeroing in your data to say, let's really do a true assessment of this aspect rather than just the whole checkout flow.
For sure. Yeah. And I think it could have been a scenario where you actually had really, really flat results if you didn't go to this level of precision, because how many people are actually editing the info, right? I think it's important to be really intentional with how you structure that test to get the right level of accuracy.
Right.
So the results were actually really, really exciting. I'm going to start off with our results kind of for the global business. We saw some really exciting results. First, in our German market, we had a 3.6% lift in VIP conversion, again, based on the data points that we had just kind of chatted through. France was similar. We saw a 1.6% increase in VIP conversion. But now the results get kind of exciting. So in Canada, we saw a 15% lift in VIP conversion.
That's huge.
That is huge. It is so exciting. And I feel like, our Canadian customers, it's just so exciting to have such a big win for that market, because I think we tend to always focus on the larger markets, but really exciting to see that result. And Spain was actually quite similar, 9.6% increase in VIP conversion there. And I will caveat, we were so excited with the results. We did call the test a little early, so we weren't at full confidence. Maybe they would have leveled out a little bit. But I'm going to take the win because we've seen continued high conversion there, which we're pumped about.
Yeah, when you can near that double digit, it's like, wow, for a simple tweak to it to improve that's what drives you being in an e-commerce business.
Exactly. I wonder if there's a correlation between really hard to spell addresses and the success of address autocomplete.
Very good point. Very good point.
Like Saskatchewan, you want to make sure that's.
I'm not gonna try that. And the US results were actually also really encouraging. We had a 2.4% increase in our mail lead conversion rate and a 2.8% increase in our shapewear customer conversion rate, which we're very excited about. Again, we have a pretty big business. We have customers in different kind of aspects of the market, and those were really great, especially at the time that we did that test. Those were brand new brands for us. I think each was under a year old at the time. So to see that type of success for kind of a brand that's just gaining market share was really stellar. So we've had a really great continued experience with Smarty since then. Do you want to call out that we were able to kind of sustain those conversion wins and reduce transaction times, over time? So that was like a great experience that we've continued to deliver a great experience to our customer.
That's so good to hear.
Thank you. We've also seen a really great reduction in our costs around misdelivered packages. Just because we have both the autocomplete and verification, we're kind of checking that on behalf of the customer. So that's been a really big benefit to the business. And what I think is super interesting is any rise in misdelivered package complaints that we have immediately triggers an internal investigation. This actually happened earlier this year where we had a rise in misdelivered packages in a couple of our EU regions. We immediately jumped in it. We saw that autocomplete wasn't functioning as we would have expected it to, made the bug fix, an immediate drop off in those complaints. So that was a really, interesting and helpful piece for us internally.
Yeah. And good that you've got an internal team to be able to do that investigative
For sure.
triage, to say.
So I have a question that has come up in regards to your internal team. So was implementing it difficult? Did you have to have, you mentioned a team, did you have to have a team of developers to work with Smarty and try to get this implemented, or what was that implementation stress level? Are we talking like 10 or a 5 or a 1?
That's a great question. I would say it was probably like a 3. I don't remember the exact dates, but we ran the A/B test in October, right before a cyber season. And we had 1 PM on my team, Kathy. She's lovely. She's on maternity leave. She drove it from a product perspective. And then we had 1 kind of full stack engineer who did most of the work in terms of integrating the API and doing some of the front end work. I want to say they did it inside of a sprint, which is 2-week cycle for us. In terms of the raw integration, it took us a little bit more time to set up the A/B test, but that's because we got so granular with it. We wanted to be really specific. But we ran the test in October and we were able to call it in time for cyber, which is kind of why we called it early. So we realized those gains at one of our most busy times of the year, November, December. So I would say it was very low stress. And since then, the maintenance has been near none. I think we've done like 1 or 2 updates that are mostly driven by us, which has been great.
That's good. And that's quite a time of year to choose to say, okay, we're going to make some changes just before this busy e-commerce season.
Yeah. We can sometimes flirt with risk if we know the payoff is there. And this one, I mean, you guys saw the results. It totally proved itself to be true, which is great. Just want to share a little bit kind of about our Fabletics plans go forward. We are looking to potentially integrate our mobile app solution, with Smarty. We would like to integrate feature expansion into My Account so customers can have when they update their address details, do that in their My Account and have the same level of precision. And then one feature I'm really excited about is we've fairly recently introduced an experience in our retail stores where customers can create their account on their phone and then kind of show that to our associate, and they tie the cart together when they complete the transaction. We're going to integrate it there as well. And I think that's going to be a huge improvement for our kind of retail customer experience, just really easily be able to create that account in store as well. So super excited for the future plans.
Well, and that is good because, many times when you're at the checkout and they want, phone number or email, but to get in on a VIP plan and a membership, you need more information. So to let the user have that interaction and add it there is a great way to pull it together.
Exactly. Yeah. And it really makes that consistency of customer experience as well, which we always love to do. So with that kind of covers everything I wanted to share with you all today. Happy to take any additional questions if anybody has any.
One big question is, if I attend this webinar, can I get some screaming deals on Fabletics?
Absolutely. Hit me up. I'm happy to help. Mel@fabletics.com.
That's great. So was the ease of implementation or the quality of documentation part of your vetting process?
Yeah, so Jason, the engineer I mentioned, he was kind of along the journey with Kathy, helping to validate some of the documentation from all the vendors. And he felt like he was able, he was confident in what he had. It's been a little while, so I can't remember the back and forth, but I think it was pretty, like, he got the documentation, got the test data, we pulled it together in our QA environments, and it wasn't super heavy, if I remember correctly.
Okay. If someone is starting their journey of considering adding address autocomplete to their website, what advice would you give them for getting started?
I would definitely recommend pulling some kind of internal data if you can. We as part of our initial kind of pre-RFP process, we did look to see the dollars we were spending on misdelivered packages. And what's interesting about that is, you look at those dollars and it's the actual cost of shipping, but you kind of have to round up because you have to think about the customer service cost and then the FC cost to rebundle. So I think that's a piece to dive into. I would look at customer complaints and see if address errors spike or checkout complaints spike, because I think sometimes that can just be related to your form fields. And then I would say, just from a market perspective, it's becoming so standard. That was definitely a thing that we really considered. It's you don't want to be left behind if the customer is expecting that experience. So I think definitely kind of gathering some internal data to help validate how much potential win you can have from this partnership. If we got no conversion wins, the win that we got on the reships would have paid for the implementation. So that's just a good way to think about it.
Great. Thank you. And then one last question, and this is a little bit leading. This is a question from me. What was the straw that broke the camel's back in saying we need to do this? Because I imagine it was probably pitched, it'd be cool if our website had some autocomplete stuff. Yeah, well, we'll get to it. But what was the deciding factor? What made you say, you know what, we need to actually pull the trigger on this?
Good question. I think the big deciding factor was the customer complaints. We really do take our member feedback seriously. And once it got to the point where they were being vocal, it's okay, we got a motor, right? It's not just about our cost, it's about that customer perception and their happiness with our brand. So that really pushed us over the edge into saying, let's do it now.
Awesome. I think you've got one more slide for me. If you are at the beginning of this journey, or if you are vetting this, or if you're curious how other companies are using address validation to improve their customers' lives and therefore their lives, you can visit that site there at the top, smarty.com/company/case studies. There's several other companies, much like Fabletics, that have really turned around their revenue and their customer satisfaction by using address autocomplete or by cleaning up their database with just regular old address validation. So you can go learn more case studies there. If you would like to reach out to Smarty and understand what it is that we do, and maybe see if there's a plan that you like, you've seen it on the website, but you want something more custom tailored for you, please visit smarty.com/contact. Let us know. Our account representatives are happy to make custom plans that fit your needs and make it work for you. And like Mel said, fabletics.com, and good luck. Say webinar while you type it. That's great.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mel. I love how you talk about the customer experience there. That's what drove it, because as a membership model, and as what we're coming to expect in society, it seems we really do pay attention to the interactions more than we have before, and that carries a lot of weight. So I love that you're focused on that, and thank you so much for sharing this journey and your experience in this webinar.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. It's been a great journey, and I really appreciate your partnership.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Thanks everybody for visiting our webinar today. We hope you got out of it what you were hoping for, and we'll see you guys next time.